Hey, I am DevUndead and I'm very excited to introduce you to my latest project, Legend of a Soul Hunter. It's cool to see you joining my adventure with this new game. It has been in development for 2 weeks and I would like to commit to this project, which will probably take 1 to 1.5 years to complete. It is supposed to be an action-adventure game inspired by the Legend of Zelda games. To the agenda, this and future devlogs will be mainly divided into 3 parts. The first part is what was happened since the last devlog. The second part is what are my plans for the coming weeks. And the third part is updates including spoilers. Part is optional and will only be used if there is content I want to share that contains spoilers. So let's start with the first part. What happened since the last devlog? Since this is my first devlog, let me first introduce you to what the project will be and what content is currently planned. What is planned? The game will be an action-adventure inspired by the Legend of Zelda games, especially Wind Waker and Majora's Mask. Thus, the focus is on exploring, solving small to large puzzles, fighting enemies, and solving complex dungeons to obtain items. Over time, the player gets access to 10 main items. Besides, there are several optional items that are needed for quests or to get other items. There are 10 dungeons planned, which will differ in gameplay style. Some will be linear and some will be non-linear. Since this is an ongoing adventure where you will gain strength with each dungeon, they will also become increasingly difficult. The game will include dungeons such as a mine, an old library, a haunted house, a sky dungeon and others, all of which will have unique textures and puzzle types. Most of the progress and the map are already roughly planned. The game will have several languages that will be supported. The game supports English and German language. More languages could be added later if there is interest. About me, time and tools. I am fairly new to game development in general, but very experienced as a software developer, as this is my main job that I have been doing for several years. I have been using Godot as my main game engine for 4 months now. Also, 3D modeling is just a hobby I've been doing for 6 months. So that is a factor why the game currently looks the way it does. The style of the game is what you currently see in the background. It's something that I can create in a reasonable amount of time, and it's also a style that I like. This game is a hobby that I will work on when I have the time. I'm aiming for at least 12 hours a week. About new devlogs, these should come every 2 to 4 weeks, depending on new content I could create. The new content will be shown in the devlog. The tools I use the following: Blender for 3D modeling, Substance Painter for painting the 3D models, Affinity Designer for textures, and Godot 4 as the game engine. But why Godot 4? I want to talk about it because Godot 4 is in development and has not yet reached the alpha phase. The first parts of the gameplay can be seen in the current 3.4.2 release. This was great to develop and performed very well, but the performance of the game was not satisfactory. The game is far from mature, but I was not satisfied. Also, the rendering distance, which was causing problems, was too low for what I want to do. I want the player to be able to see the islands from a distance. For that to work in Godot 3.4, I will need to implement some features that come native in Godot 4. This meant that I will give the current Godot 4 another chance since it ran terribly when I tried it a few months ago. Godot 4 still doesn't run smoothly, but I expected them from the development branch. But it does work and I have had almost no crashes. There are issues where things don't display properly, shaders don't render properly, and it takes much longer to load scenes. Also, some things I got used to in Godot 3.4 don't work anymore, and I can't find a new solution like background loading. Also, there is only the documentation to help you find solutions. For example, it was hard to learn how to use the new character model 3D instead of the kinematic body. But Godot 4 is impressive in terms of the 3D part. It runs much smoother in the game engine and in the running game. I did a comparison with the game when it was ported. You can clearly see how much better the game runs. It takes much less time to process and there is a huge increase in FPS. Also, there are important features like LODs, occlusion culling, better shadows that greatly improve the look of the game. About the current status, the following things are implemented. Character controller with a state machine is implemented. The first island is created and ready to be filled with life. A lot of assets has been created that will be used on other islands as well. All main assets are modeled in 3D, textured and ready for implementation. The course of the whole game has been roughly planned, and the game is fully ported to Godot 4. What are my plans for the coming weeks? The following things are planned to be implemented in the coming weeks. These are only planned things and are not binding. Breathing life into the game, starting with talking pills, and over time 3D models will be created. A possibility to travel by boat between the islands, creating the tutorial island with getting the sword, implement save games, implement the inventory, implement a tasks list for missions, and starting with the first dungeon. Thank you for your interest in the project. If you like what you see, follow this channel to see when a new devlog is uploaded and follow the progress of Legend of a Soul Hunter. If you have an idea or want to ask something, feel free to leave a comment below the video. I will try to answer as soon as possible. Have fun and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!